Vladimir Putin thinks his new strategy of bombarding Ukraine with drones is going to work. He's wrong. Though Russia's drones are causing damage, Ukraine has a secret weapon to take them out. It's called Skynex, and it was developed in Germany to target the very types of drones Russia is using in its long-range strikes. See how the German Skynex eradicates Russian drones from the sky, along with learning what the system is capable of and why it matters so much to Ukraine. On July 13th, the Kyiv Independent reported that Ukraine's Air Force had released about a minute's worth of video footage showing the German-made Skynex air defense system in action. We don't know a huge amount of details. Ukraine hasn't revealed the system's location or when the footage was shot, which all makes sense. After all, Skynex is an extremely effective weapon. Ukraine doesn't want to risk Russia having any opportunity to find out where it is, or else Putin's forces may target it. What we do know is what the footage shows us. Over a minute of Skynex shooting down drone after drone. The footage starts with a ground shot of the Skynex system, which essentially looks like a massive gun on a rotating turret. We see that turret in action as the gun rapidly swings around. Then the footage cuts to what seems to be a Skynex operator's screen, which shows a crosshair and what seems to be a Russian drone flying right into the center. Seconds later, that drone is crashing toward the ground. While we don't see Skynex fire in these first few seconds of footage, we know that it scored a direct hit. The operator's screen goes blank for a second, likely when the trigger was pulled on the giant gun, before it tracks the drone all the way down to its crash landing on the Ukrainian battlefield. That was drone number 1. Number 2 follows right after. Again, we're confronted with the sight of the operator's screen as a Russian drone flies into the Skynex crosshairs. The order is given, the trigger is pulled. This time there's no crash landing. Russia's drone is obliterated as it flies, exploding into a shower of sparks after Skynex scores another direct hit. Number 3 follows, and by now we start to see familiar sights. Again, there's an operator's screen, with a Russian drone entering the Skynex crosshairs. Again, the trigger is pulled. After a delay of about a second, another Russian drone blows up in the skies in a massive fireball that ensures it will never be able to hit a Ukrainian city. And so it continues. Drone 4 also explodes in a shower of sparks and flames. The same goes for drones 5 and 6. Time and time again, Skynex locks onto its target, fires, and decimates one of Russia's powerful drones. This is Skynex in action. What amounts to a massive rapid-fire gun that showers Russia's drones with so many projectiles that they stand no chance of escaping. And Ukraine loves it. Rheinmetall's Skynex anti-aircraft artillery complex in service with the Air Force shows impeccable results in destroying enemy strike UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. The Kyiv Independent reports Ukraine's Air Force is saying, "We will keep the time and place a secret, but as you can see in the footage, the productive work of the 35mm automated anti-aircraft gun is quite inspiring for our sky defenders." Inspiring is the right word. As Putin escalates his drone warfare campaign against Ukraine, the presence of Skynex will be a massive morale booster for troops on the ground. The video also sends a message to Ukraine's people. Russia may be hitting Ukraine hard with hundreds of long-range drones, but Ukraine has a weapon that can stop these drones in their tracks, leaving them as little more than flaming wreckages that go hurtling to the ground. All of this leads us to a question. What is Skynex exactly? The weapons manufacturer Rheinmetall provides the basic details. The German company refers to Skynex as its latest solution for short-range air defense, noting that the system it's created has a modular architecture that allows for it to be expanded as and when needed. Skynex itself isn't a weapon, rather it's a battle management system that allows Ukraine to fit various sensors, effectors, and radars to a powerful Oerlikon revolver gun Mark III. Skynex finds the targets and provides the interface. But it's the massive gun that does all of the damage. Army Recognition provides more details in its examination of the Skynex system. It calls the Oerlikon revolver gun Mark III the heart of Skynex, revealing that it's a 35mm automated cannon. The cannon fires powerful ahead rounds, which is airburst ammunition that's both precise enough to score direct hits against incoming threats and capable of exploding into multiple submunitions that can destroy any other threats surrounding the main target. The Oerlikon revolver gun Mark III can rattle off a staggering 1,000 rounds per minute, allowing it to saturate the skies with ahead rounds as soon as an incoming drone is identified. It also has a solid range of about 13,120 feet. This isn't a gun designed to take out drones miles away from the drone's targets. Instead, as Rheinmetall says, it's a short-range system that serves as a final line of defense against drones that have managed to break through Ukraine's other air defenses. The version of Skynex we see in Ukraine's footage uses the Oerlikon revolver gun Mark III. However, the system's modular nature comes to the fore because it can also be linked to the Oerlikon twin gun GDF-009 Trio, a double-barreled menace. That gun is another form of anti-aircraft system that is able to use both 2D and 3D radar to identify and fire upon its targets. Having 2 barrels means it's capable of engaging multiple threats at the same time. Plus, the Oerlikon twin-gun GDF-009 Trio provides options to its operators. The gun can be left to fire on targets automatically using the data it pulls from its radars, or an operator can take direct control, as we seem to see in Ukraine's video, if they want to take out specific incoming drones. There's also the Skynex missile to consider. Skynex can integrate with this powerful missile, which complements either of the 2 cannon systems that are compatible with Skynex, and is able to decimate multiple incoming threats simultaneously. Skynex can do this because the missile combines counter-rocket, artillery, and mortar features with a counter-precision-guided munition feature, making it an extremely versatile air defense weapon. That's the point with Skynex. Modularity lies at the heart of Rheinmetall's design, with Skynex also being future-proofed. It's already good to go with the next generation of high-energy laser beam systems, Army recognition says, which means we may soon see Skynex acting as the control center for a new generation of laser cannons. Add mobility into the mix as Skynex and its associated weapons are transported using a high-mobility military truck, and you get a weapon that Ukraine can deploy as needed before moving it to a new location. In its video examination of Skynex, Interesting Engineering provides even more details. It points out that the system's use of cannons capable of firing ahead rounds is ideal from an ammunition economy point of view. These rounds provide a more economical choice than missile-guided systems and aren't affected by electronic disruptions during launch, the outlet says. And that's another good point. As effective as anti-aircraft missiles may be when they hit their targets, they're vulnerable to the same jamming and electronic warfare techniques that impact missiles fired from Russian aircraft. If an incoming threat has jamming technology, the missile may not be able to stop it. An ahead round fired from a Skynex-connected cannon will. It's this reliability in the face of electronic countermeasures that makes Skynex so effective, as Interesting Engineering explains. Skynex is primed to augment Ukraine's aerial defense strength, ensuring robust defense against challenges in short to ultra-short-range airspace, it says, and it's right. The footage that Ukraine's Air Force shared proves it, with Skynex and its Oerlikon revolver gun Mark III landing direct hit after direct hit on fast-moving Russian drones. The only challenge Ukraine has is that it doesn't have enough of these systems. Germany has only provided 2 Skynex batteries to Ukraine so far, says the Kyiv Independent. More may be on their way. In October 2024, Forbes reported that Germany planned to provide 4 of these powerful air defense systems, though it's unclear if the other deliveries have been made or if the remaining 2 Skynex systems are going to arrive in Ukraine at a later date. Either way, Ukraine is delighted at the results it's achieving with this powerful gun. Russia's drones seem to be helpless once they're caught in its crosshairs, with their fate being an explosive death as they fail to hit their targets. Skynex isn't all that Germany plans to offer to Ukraine in their air defense sphere. On July 10th, the Kyiv Independent reported that Germany is also planning to buy US-made Patriot missiles. That's according to the country's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who said, "We are also prepared to purchase additional Patriot systems from the US to make them available to Ukraine." Merz added, "The Americans need some of them themselves, but they also have a lot of them." We don't know how much Germany is willing to spend on these missiles or when it plans to get them to Ukraine. However, what's clear is that Germany is doing everything it can to bolster Ukraine's air defenses. More Patriot missiles means Ukraine can shoot down more incoming Russian missiles, along with any aircraft that is foolish enough to fly into the range of one of Ukraine's Patriot batteries. And with Skynex and its associated cannons, Ukraine now has a weapon that's able to decimate the drones that Russia is sending towards its cities and critical infrastructure. That matters for a simple reason. Putin is launching a lot of drones at Ukraine right now. Russia's ground campaigns are faltering to the point where Ukraine has all but stalled out the grand summer offensive Putin hoped would allow him to create a buffer zone in Sumy. With that offensive failing to achieve its goals, Putin has started to rely more heavily than ever before on Russia's ever-growing arsenal of long-range drones. Putin has made it clear that drones form a key part of Russia's strategy in 2025. According to Forbes, Russia is planning to build between 3 and 4 million drones in 2025 alone, putting it close to being on par with Ukraine's own mass drone production. Russia is even taking things so far that it's teaching its children how to build and operate drones. A June 22nd report from Radio Free Europe revealed that one of Russia's largest drone manufacturers believes there's such a huge demand for unmanned aerial vehicles. This teaching project was inevitable. Launched last year and given the uninspiring moniker of Unmanned Aerial Systems, the program is designed as a promotional tool to usher high school-age students into the drone manufacturing and piloting sectors. Russia expects the project to run until at least 2030 and has even developed a textbook that is being distributed to students. Comprising 6 chapters, the book covers everything from the fundamentals of flying a drone to career pathways the student can follow to get into the drone industry. Mikhail Lutsky, who heads the educational project sector at leading Russian drone manufacturer Geoscan Group, explains why all of this is happening. By 2030, around 1 million people are expected to be involved in the drone industry, he says. There's a need for engineers, designers, and technologists who strive to maximize production volumes and scale. The point here is that Putin now sees his drones as Russia's key to winning the war he started, and the numbers prove it. During the summer, Russia has broken its record for the number of drones it's launched against Ukraine several times. On the night of July 8th and into July 9th, it unleashed a barrage of 741 aerial assets at Ukraine, Euronews reports, with 728 of them being Shahid-style drones. The rest were Iskander and Kinzhal missiles, with almost all of these projectiles being fired at the city of Lutsk in western Ukraine. Ukraine managed to take out most of the drones. It shot down 296, while sending another 415 off course using jamming techniques. The attack even prompted Poland to scramble its fighter jets, as Lutsk is less than 62 miles away from the Polish border. What we see here is Putin's summer technique for attacking Ukraine, overwhelming the country's air defenses with hundreds of drones and missiles. Australia's ABC News digs even deeper into the numbers in its report on the July 7th strike. It points out that this strike broke Russia's previous record, set earlier in July, of 550 drones in a single day by around 34%. But far more worrying from the Ukrainian perspective is the trend of Russian drone strikes in Ukraine. The outlet shared a chart covering how many drones Russia has launched at Ukraine for each month between July 2024 and July 2025. In July 2024, Russia fired a comparatively paltry number of drones at Ukraine, with just 423 for the entire month. That's only just one more than half of the 728 it launched in a single day on July 7th. Since then, there's been a general upward trend. The numbers kept rising in 2024, with Russia launching 807 drones in August, 1,309 in September, 1,889 in October, 2,434 in November, and finally having a slight lull in December by sending 2,161. Throughout 2025, the numbers have rocketed up again. 2,701 drones were sent Ukraine's way in January. February saw Russia smash through the 3,000 barrier by firing 3,902 drones. In April, Russia launched 2,476 drones, followed by over 4,000 drones in both March and May, with June bringing with it a staggering 5,438 drones. Between July 1st and July 10th, Russia had launched 2,501 drones at Ukraine. If it keeps that pace, it will be at around 7,500 drones by the end of the month. This is drone saturation at a massive scale. The Center for Strategic and International Studies made that point back in May, saying what Russia is doing in 2025 is part of a so-called punishment strategy it's using to force Ukraine onto the back foot in any peace negotiations. The idea is simply to bombard Ukraine with thousands of drones in near-daily blitzes, overwhelming the country's air defenses and causing untold damage to Ukraine's cities. It's a low-cost strategy, with each of Russia's drones costing between $20,000 and $50,000 to make. It's also a strategy for which Russia can tolerate high losses. Ukraine manages to destroy or disable the vast majority of the drones Putin sends in these strikes, but some make it through. And with each strike, Ukraine burns through interceptor missiles and similar munitions as it tries to stop Putin from having the war his way. Still, the situation is at a point where the Atlantic Council feels confident enough to proclaim that Russia is now winning the drone war with Ukraine, at least when it comes to the long-range aspect. It made that claim in a July 8th article, noting that the shift of that aspect of the war has come from a combination of Russia scaling up production and managing to introduce new models that include technological upgrades to make its drones even more dangerous. That brings us back to Skynex. We noted earlier that Interesting Engineering said that Skynex's cannons use ammunition that's far cheaper than the missiles Ukraine typically uses to intercept Russia's drones. That makes it key to countering Putin's new drone saturation strategy. Each Skynex allows Ukraine to rapidly fire on hordes of drones with up to 1,000 rounds per minute, blowing any that look like they're about to strike a key target out of the skies. The only problem is that Ukraine doesn't have enough of them. The 2 Skynex systems it's known to have aren't enough to cover the entire country. The same applies if and when Ukraine receives the total of 4 that Germany has promised to it. Still, it's a valuable weapon that is helping Ukraine to ensure that Russia's saturation strategy isn't working as well as Putin wants it to work. For now. The reality is that Ukraine needs more. Not just of Skynex, but of every aerial defense system it can get its hands on. Ukraine has known this for a long time. Back in December, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told the collective West that Ukraine needed between 12 and 15 more air defense systems. The number may be higher now that Putin has switched to his saturation campaign. A few months later, the Atlantic Council made a similar point, noting specifically that Ukraine needs more enhanced air defense systems. It says that Ukraine's defenses are spread thin, claiming, "Despite improvements in Ukraine's air defenses, the country remains highly vulnerable to Russian missile and drone attacks. While Kyiv now has relatively strong air defense coverage, the other major cities such as Kharkiv, Odessa, and Zaporizhia are far less protected and regularly experience deadly bombardments. Ukraine needs more, and it may be about to get it." Though no more Skynex systems have been promised to Ukraine, US President Donald Trump suggested on July 14th that he's willing to provide more support to Ukraine in its aerial battle. Seemingly growing frustrated with Putin and his constant bombardments as Trump pushes for peace, the president said, "We will send them Patriots, which they desperately need. Putin really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice and then he bombs everybody in the evening. So there's a little bit of a problem there. I don't like it." While Trump didn't specify how many Patriots the US will be sending to Ukraine, he's at least promising something. That's huge for Zelensky, especially as that promise comes just a couple of weeks after the US temporarily paused military aid promised to Ukraine amid concerns over its own stockpiles. If Trump holds true to his word and Germany follows through on its promise to buy more Patriot missiles from the US, Ukraine stands a chance at building an air defense setup to counter Putin's drone saturation. Patriots will handle targets at long range, specifically taking out Russia's ballistic missiles and other high-value targets. Electronic jamming and other air defenses will take out as many drones as they can as they approach Ukraine's cities. And then there will be Skynex. With its cannons, it's the perfect weapon for Ukraine to mop up whatever drones break through the country's increasingly layered air defenses. The footage Ukraine shared proves that. Skynex is a drone-destroying machine, and Ukraine will be hoping to get more of these systems sooner rather than later. Skynex is just one of the many tools Ukraine is using to defend itself against Russia and cause massive damage to Putin's forces. In a recent video, we covered 7 of the deadliest weapons the West has given to Ukraine that allow it to hammer Russia into the ground. Check out that video today, and remember to subscribe to The Military Show for more news and updates covering Ukraine's air defense situation. And thank you as always for watching.